Today, we are exploring a royal retreat in Colorado Springs, Glen Eyrie Castle. It is time for a historic tour and a spot of tea. Let's go. Glen Eyrie Castle is a stunning historic landmark in Colorado Springs. It is located just north of Garden of the Gods Park. It was built in 1871 for General William Jackson Palmer, the founder of Colorado Springs. General Palmer and his wife Queen lived here with their 3 daughters for a time. Sadly, Palmer's wife Queen never saw the brick castle as it stands today. In 1883, she left Colorado Springs due to poor health. She and her 3 daughters moved to New York and later England, and she died in 1894. Palmer's daughters moved back to Glen Eyrie, and they helped their father design the castle home that their mother had always dreamed of. The first Glen Eyrie, that was built in 1871, was a 22-room wood frame house. 10 years later, in 1881, Palmer added a tower. And by 1903, it was reimagined in stone to look like an English castle. Today, Glen Eyrie Castle and the surrounding grounds are owned and operated by the Navigators, a worldwide Christian organization based in Colorado Springs. Glen Eyrie is now used for conferences and marriage retreats. There is plenty of lodging, including rooms in the castle. There are also tours of the castle and a wonderful tea in the music or library room. For those taking a tour, you meet at the Carriage House. The Palmer family lived on the 2nd floor of the Carriage House while the original Glen Eyrie was being built. The building now serves as lodging registration, and there's also a bookstore and a coffee shop. And in the bookstore and coffee shop, you can see black drains where the horse stalls used to be. And it also still has the original flooring. The tour starts with a short film, and then you start to explore the property. Behind the Carriage House, there's a door that leads to a tunnel going from the Carriage House to the castle courtyard. When guests would visit Glen Eyrie, they would drop off their large steamer trunks, and the staff would take the trunks from the Carriage House through the tunnel up to the castle, and you can still walk through a part of the tunnel today. After hearing a bit of the Carriage House history, it is a short walk to the castle. The castle has 67 rooms. General Palmer did a lot of entertaining, including an annual Christmas party for the children of Colorado Springs, and every child received a gift. On the tour, guests can see the foyer, the former dining room, which is now the waiting area for the tea room, General Palmer's den, and a couple of rooms on the 2nd floor, depending on availability. The castle has so many interesting architectural details. It is a palatial residence with hand-carved woodwork and ornate finishes. The castle is not only large and beautiful, but it was ahead of its time in many ways. It had a weather monitoring system, an elevator, and an electric intercom system where family members could ring for the staff using a buzzer instead of ringing a bell. The castle has more than 20 fireplaces, and they're all quite grand, but perhaps the loveliest fireplace of all is located on the 2nd floor in a bathroom near the Great Hall. At one time, this bathroom was the head mistress's quarters, and so that's why there's a fireplace, but now it is a really lovely bathroom. Not far from the bathroom is the Great Hall. The Great Hall is where General Palmer would host parties. It's also where 2 of his daughters were married, and it was the site of the annual Christmas party where all the children from Colorado Springs would be invited up to the castle and receive a gift. The room has a lot of large windows with beautiful views of red rock formations and the surrounding grounds. But perhaps the most spectacular thing in the Great Hall is a huge fireplace. And interestingly enough, the fireplace was built before the room was built. And so there's a picture outside the Great Hall that shows the fireplace being built with trees behind it. So that's pretty cool. On the tour, you also see some of the second floor guest rooms. Unfortunately, during our tour, the king rooms were all occupied, and that was General Palmer's room, Queen's room, and his 3 daughters' room. So we didn't get to see those, but we did get to see some of the guest rooms that are in what was formerly the servants' quarters. And each room has a theme and its own bathroom. If you are standing out in the courtyard, you can see a glass atrium porch that is attached to one of the rooms. General Palmer's youngest daughter, Marjorie, had tuberculosis, and her room was built with a sleeping porch. Colorado's dry air and abundant sunshine often increase the lifespan and quality of life of tuberculosis patients, so they would often sleep outside. Another interesting tidbit that I learned on the tour is that each floor of Glen Eyrie Castle has its own fire hose. So Palmer owned the Antlers Hotel in downtown Colorado Springs, and it caught fire in 1898. So he was not going to take any chances with Glen Eyrie Castle, and he had fire hoses installed on every floor. The tour is approximately 90 minutes long, and it's fascinating. I highly recommend taking the tour. And after you finish the tour, it's time to have a spot of tea. Tea is served in either the music room or the library. Our table was in the music room. Tea is served Tuesday through Sunday from 11 a.m. to 2:45, and it's $38 a person before tax and gratuity. Each guest at the table can select one tea, and I would recommend that everyone at the table order a different tea so you can sample several flavors. I had the cream Earl Grey, and Randy chose blue sapphire, and they were both very tasty. The tea menu changes with the season, and we happen to be there for the summer menu. The fixed menu includes soup, salad, sandwiches, scones, and dessert. The soup was a watermelon gazpacho. It was a nice blend of sweet and spicy. I'm not a big fan of cold soup, but it had a nice flavor. The salad was a blackberry feta salad with blackberry vinaigrette dressing. It was delicious and perfect on a warm summer's day. The menu also included a roasted ribeye sandwich, a rice cake with a smoked salmon dip, a green tomato caprese on a bagel, and 2 scones, one sweet and one savory, one with whipped cream and the other one with jalapeno type jelly. I love the small bites and everything was very tasty. The highlight of the tea experience for me was the ambiance and the beautiful castle setting. We will definitely be back. After your tour and/or tea, guests are invited to explore the grounds. So each reservation, whether it's a tour or tea or both, comes with a day pass for the property. And there are hiking trails, there are interesting things to see, including a one-room schoolhouse where General Palmer's daughters went to school. There is also an old creamery building on the grounds. General Palmer built a creamery so that his daughter Marjorie, who had tuberculosis, would have easy access to pasteurized milk. It was the first creamery west of the Mississippi. There is also a beautiful rose garden that has several benches that you can sit and admire and smell the beautiful flowers. If you are not a registered hotel guest and you don't have reservations for a tea or a tour, you can still, on the weekdays, drive through the property. You'll be given a pass for just an hour, and you can drive through the property and stop at the bookstore or the coffee shop. You have to have reservations to visit Glen Eyrie on the weekends. Glen Eyrie is a beautiful historic property, and it's definitely one of Colorado's gems. Add it to your bucket list. You won't be disappointed. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this content, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, and hit subscribe to follow along on our Colorado journeys. We would love to have you.